Imagine getting kicked off an airline for complying, just not complying correctly.
Hey guys, before we get into today's video, I want to give a real quick shout out to today's sponsor, Virtual Shield VPN. And the reason I promote it, guys, is because I use it every single day and I know that it works, and I've proven it in videos in the past. If you use the link in the description, you're going to get 50% off, and that's going to help you protect your identity, your activity, and your location anytime you're surfing on the net. That link is in the description below.
On a funnier front, and I don't know exactly what I think about this, because at the end of the day, it's still compliance, but it's almost like compliance with an aim. And the aim is to expose how ridiculous this entire thing is with wearing ritualistic shame muzzles, how ridiculous it is with social distancing, how ridiculous it is if, they don't require you to wear a ritualistic shame muzzle if you're eating or if you're drinking, as though you can't transmit something. It's like, oh, that table's in a safe zone. It's like, hey, they're all sitting there eating without ritualistic shame muzzles, but I got to walk through the restaurant with a ritualistic shame muzzle? That doesn't make any sense. Oh no, they're eating and drinking. That's obviously fine. This is storybook stuff. This is stuff that only children would believe. But this Florida man gets banned from United Airlines, possibly for life, after actually wearing a mask. It's just that it was the wrong mask. He wore a thong on his face as a mask in protest. Says a Florida man, we'll watch this report here in a second. Florida man was reportedly banned from flying United after wearing a red thong as a face covering while boarding a flight to protest the federal mask mandate. Adam Jenny of Cape Coral told NBC2 that his Wednesday morning antics at Fort Lauderdale Airport got him booted off a plane bound for Washington, D.C. But here's the kicker. Here's the guy wearing this thong on his face. Here's the kicker. When he got kicked off the plane, a couple other people followed and got off the plane with him. People he didn't even know.
I don't wear the mask in the airport at all. At all. TSA makes you do it to get through TSA, but the second I get my bin and I put my belt back on, it's off.
Instead of a mask, this Cape Coral man wears a bright red thong on airplanes. Thank you for watching NBC2. I'm Peter Bush.
How is this guy reporting on this without laughing? Instead of wearing a regular mask like Anthony Fauci says we should wear, he's actually wearing a thong, a women's underwear on his face. And I'm going to report this in all seriousness.
Jenny says he's done this almost 24 times throughout the pandemic, but this time it didn't fly with a crew in Fort Lauderdale. NBC2 Sarah Metz is talking to the man who says he is making history.
A Cape Coral man was spotted on a United Airlines flight masking up, but not with one of these. He actually was wearing underwear on his face.
She should have said, but not with one of these, with one of these.
This is Adam Jenny.
To which I replied, it's a mask, doing its job.
Wearing his statement piece.
Look, it looks to me like there's more coverage on his thong mask than you'll see some airline employees stop and talk to him. But one guy has it like halfway by his nose right here. And there's holes all in these masks. This looks like a better seal than the masks from the flight attendants.
Bright red thong.
I think the best way to illustrate absurdity is with absurdity.
Jenny says he's worn underwear as a mask since the beginning of the pandemic.
Every single flight has been met with different reactions from the flight crew.
And this time, they weren't having it.
I am banned from flying United, so much for the customer is always right.
He got kicked off the flight, but what happened after is what really surprised him.
People started just filing off the plane. Maybe a dozen, something like that.
It happened after this guy questioned why Jenny got removed. Then he says others followed his lead.
It's nonsense. It's all nonsense. COVID doesn't know that we're at cruising altitude. It's stupid. The whole thing is theater.
Here's what he says about that. And I want to know if you agree with it. In your experience, Would you agree with what Adam Jenny said here, that it's all theater? It's all for show. And if it is all for show, what's the purpose of this show? Why have all these people complying and wearing a ritualistic shame muzzle? What is the point of it all? I like what he said on one interview for Fox 4. He said, there's nothing more absurd than having to wear a mask until I get to cruising altitude so that I can order Tito's by the double and snack on pretzels, and illustrating that absurdity by wearing women's underwear on my face sounds perfect. So people started questioning why he got kicked off the airplane when he's wearing a mask. Oh yeah, he happens to be wearing a mask that you don't like, that you don't approve of, but that doesn't mean he's not complying. That's what one of the things that I have a problem with here is that he is, at the end of the day, complying by wearing a ritualistic shame muzzle. But on the other side of it, in his compliance, he's showing how utterly ridiculous the entire thing is, and therefore kind of piercing through the facade by wearing women's underwear on his face. So if he didn't do that, then it wouldn't appear as ridiculous to people. But having done that, he's also, at the end of the day, complying with it. But in his compliance, and this is how inconsistent the airline industry is, the heavily subsidized airline industry, subsidized by the government, because if they weren't subsidized by the government, they would have already gone under, a lot of these airlines. But he's showing how ridiculous it is, and even though he's in compliance, they still kick him off because it's not something that they want to see. That's not the mask. That's not the ritualistic shame muzzle that they have in mind when they envision people coming on board their airline.
COVID cases start to climb again and hospitals fill up across the country. Jenny is comparing himself to civil rights icons.
Everything else that has sparked change in this country has started from everyday people. Rosa Parks was nobody famous. She changed the course of history.
United Airlines says Jenny wasn't in compliance with the federal mask mandate.
That is a lie. That is a lie. He was absolutely in compliance with the federal mask mandate. What do you guys think? Just because it wasn't the kind of material you would expect, just because it wasn't cut in the shape that you would expect, it looks like, for a guy with a beard on his face, there's pretty much, there's full coverage. I mean, if you're going to wear a ritualistic shame muzzle, wear one that's going to be tight fitting, right?
And they gave him a refund. Jenny will try to fly again tomorrow with a different airline.
Hopefully Spirit has a better sense of humor tomorrow. We'll see, I guess.
Reporting.
Yeah, exactly. FEMA Region 4 says you're not obeying correctly. Here's another one where it looks like they might be in Australia. Not sure about this right here or the context of it, but apparently they were giving this woman right here a hard time for not wearing a mask, and here was her response to that.
Yeah.
I don't know how she got that off so quick. There we go. She's in compliance, right?
Well, personally, I find it acceptable. It is a mask. Yes, and quite frankly, I think the bacteria on your neck is less than on the mask.
She said, quite frankly, I think the bacteria on her knickers is less than on the mask, but then she switches it up right here.
Yeah, the bacteria on the mask is less than her knickers.
The bacteria on the mask is less than her knickers. So she said it the opposite. I don't know exactly what she wants to convey there.
So, hey, well done to you.
I don't know if she's saying that in a mocking fashion or basically saying, yeah, there you go. She's got what you demanded. Now she's in compliance. But as FEMA Region 4 pointed out, you're not obeying the way we want you to obey. You need to comply right on down the line. I know if everybody has this kind of mask, then you need to have that kind of mask. Hilarious. In a statement to the Post, a United Airlines spokesperson credited the airline workers with confronting Jenny before the plane took off. The customer clearly wasn't in compliance with the federal ritualistic shame muzzle mandate, and we appreciate that our team addressed the issue on the ground prior to takeoff, avoiding any potential disruptions in the air. And I want to show you this. The last paragraph of this news article from NBC talking about this guy getting kicked off the United Airlines flight. I don't know if this is true, but if it is, this should give you and me and everybody else great pause. In a typical year, they say, the FAA sees 100 to 150 formal cases of bad passenger behavior. Okay? In a typical year, 100 to 150 formal cases. Since January of 2021, the FAA has recorded more than 5,660 unruly passenger reports. More than 4,070 of them were mask related. Do you think people are having problems wearing a ritualistic shame muzzle? It seems like the answer to this would be mass, peaceful non-compliance. What do you guys think? Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Hey guys, we know with the way things have been going, it can get really interesting really quick. So make sure you and your family have a long-term storable food supply. Support the channel and get $50 off with my link in the description while you still can.